Well, everyone, it just finally happened. OpenAI has launched something called SearchGPT, a direct assault on Google search. Well, we're going to talk about this. Jared and I, we literally just found out about this just a few minutes ago. This announcement by OpenAI. They have something called SearchGPT. It's just a prototype search engine. You can only join the wait list right now. But we're going to jump into what the demo looks like, what we think it means, how it might work, and the very limited information that we have right now. Along with some other really interesting news stories. Google had their earnings report just come out earlier this week, and so we're going to talk about we have some hard numbers now on AI overviews and how Google's performing overall. So we're gonna talk about that. But we're also going to have what I'll call some lighter topics as well. We're going to talk about our side hustles like we always do. And then we're going to talk about a couple of weird niche sites. So having said all that, Jared, how are you today? It's good to be back.
You're back in the hot seat.
A little break. Yeah, I am back.
Yeah, you picked a good week. Like you said, I was all prepped for our feature story. That is not the feature story anymore. We've got a new one as of maybe 8 minutes ago.
Right? Yep. This is fresh.
Yeah. So here we go.
Yeah,
who is that? Bill O'Reilly, where he's got that clip of him, that YouTube clip. You can go back and look, and they're giving him a news desk reel to read, and he didn't have it in time. He's like, you know what? We'll just do it live. That's us right now. We're just probably reading most of the article live to you and giving you our first take.
We're running with it. But as soon as we saw this headline, we knew we had to cover it because obviously we talk about Google search all the time, how it's evolving, how it's adding AI features. But we've also been talking about OpenAI, and it seems like a natural progression. And it's official. It's been publicly announced. OpenAI has something called SearchGPT, announced today, just like 2 hours ago, I think. And it's in prototype. I'll share my screen so people can see basically all that we know about it. But it does appear to be a search prototype using AI features to help you get what it says fast and timely answers with clear and relevant sources. And I like that it put that its sources are needed there, because you will see the first thing I noticed in sort of this video overview is that the queries do show actual hyperlinks or sources where you can click and go and find out more about that topic. And of course, as publishers and bloggers, we want that traffic. So even if OpenAI does take a bite of Google's apple, we want to know that, hey, are we going to actually get some traffic? And so there's that little clue there that, yes, OpenAI is going to provide sources. And so this video, again, on screen that you can see, is about all we know, really how it might look or feel or interact. We can only join the wait list, which I'm going to do as soon as we end this call here. And yeah, so OpenAI basically saying, hey, this is a new way to search, get answers on the web with very little, effort. You're going to get accurate information, yada, yada, yada. And it kind of, gives all this information, right? But we do have a little bit more to go on based on a Wired article that we were able to find here, right? Titled SearchGPT is OpenAI's direct assault on Google. I mean, clearly, Sam Altman and the people behind OpenAI, they are not afraid to follow the money trail, right? They see how well Google is doing, and they want a piece of that.
Do you ever get stuck in your business and wish you had someone you could turn to for solutions? Well, I think you should consider joining the Niche Pursuits community. You'll get weekly calls with experts on growing a successful online business, and you'll also get assigned a small mastermind group where you can solve your business problems as well as share your wins. For a limited time, I'll let you try out the Niche Pursuits community for just $1. Go ahead and use coupon code PODCAST at checkout in order to get your first month for just $1. Again, that's coupon code PODCAST. Go to community.nichepursuits.com today and see what it's all about. And maybe I'll see you on our call next week. Thanks a lot.
Jared, you actually found as you were reading through this article, you kind of pointed out one interesting aspect of how this might operate, the technology that they use. So do you want to kind of highlight that little piece there?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is fascinating because you think about OpenAI and you think about obviously how successful ChatGPT has been, but yet when we look at the numbers, we look at the data behind it, them incorporating it into the Bing search engine, like it hasn't really made much of a dent in Google's overall market share. We've gone back and forth on that previously in the podcast for different reports there, but by and large, what will SearchGPT do when it's up against this behemoth? I thought it was interesting. Wired called it out a number of times in this very short article. Their byline to the article is the company behind ChatGPT is expanding into search and leaning heavily on its relationship with publishers. Now we know that OpenAI has been going out and signing contracts with publishers, with big publishers, in order to license its information to train its model. And that is interesting as we go deeper into this article, and it talks about perhaps some of the things that SearchGPT will do to limit the hallucinations, the out-of-date nature of some of this stuff that we've seen with Google's AI overviews. So I think there's a little bit more to unpack as it relates to SearchGPT's approach. Not that Google's and their AI overviews isn't doing the same thing in their own way, but they're certainly not just going about it the same that they did when they tried to implement the chatbot into Bing.
Right. Exactly. And so there's a couple of different aspects there that I'd like to tease out with what you kind of mentioned is that, hey, they are at least initially working with publishers that they already have a relationship. They have a licensing relationship with. Some of those companies that it mentioned specifically are Vox Media, The Atlantic, News Corp, Financial Times, that have all signed licensing agreements with OpenAI this year. So it would appear that at least initially, the search functionality of SearchGPT would be probably limited to these companies that it signed a licensing agreement with, right? And so I would suspect that the quality and breadth of the results is somewhat limited in a way, right? These are large companies and they have a lot of data and a lot of great information, but it's a very small subset of the overall web. So at least initially, this does appear to be a prototype. They're going to probably test this out with the limited number of licensees that they have, publishers that they're getting information sort of from. And then I imagine they'll expand from there. And I don't know what that will look like exactly. Maybe there's opportunity for regular bloggers to sort of join, right? Allow OpenAI to crawl your website for their search GPT. I don't know exactly, how that will work. But it does also, let's see here. And this gets very technical.
I was going to see
And
who's going to be the first person to use this phrase and sound really smart.
right. Probably somebody else that we bring on the podcast is what will happen. But we can at least read what Wired Magazine says and sound intelligent. But it talks about a RAG approach. Let's see here. OpenAI Search GPT may use an approach to generative AI called retrieval augmented generation. That's an industry standard, right? That it's designed to lower the rate of hallucinations in chatbot answers. With a RAG approach, the AI tool references trusted information like a preferred news website while generating its output and links back to where the data originated. So in my very limited understanding of a RAG approach, which I have heard of in the past, I got lucky enough to hear an intelligent person speak on this at one point.
Best way.
It essentially, and it's, my brain at least thinks of it this way, that you've basically got a database of trusted sources or limited resources that the AI will have access to, right? So it's sort of a walled off, database of where it can access information. So instead of going to the entire web, it's just going to go to have this RAG approach, where it's going to, it'll be limited on the number of resources that it queries essentially to get its output. So
would I be remiss if I vastly oversimplified it and kind of thought about it in the same way as Google's knowledge graph,
Yeah, right. No, I think that's probably a good comparison, right? is that Google sort of vetted and included trusted sources in its knowledge graph, right? Things that qualify to be included in the knowledge graph. And so, some queries only get responses based on the knowledge graph, right?
Correct.
And I think that's a similar approach, probably at least initially, from what we know, within this being released in the last couple of hours, that this SearchGPT prototype will probably be based on that type of approach. So super fascinating developments for sure.
My question to you, obviously, is what we think this impacts on Google's side of things in the short and the long term. But I'm curious, given the other stories we have to cover, do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to talk about that after we touch on a few of these other stories? And I really am asking because we're kind of making this agenda up as we go.
Well, let's think about it now, right? I guess since we're on the subject, right? Like, I guess how does this impact publishers, right? Is really what we want to know at the end of the day. And it's hard to make projections about how it will impact traffic or how we optimize our websites or what we do differently. We really don't know, but it's a fascinating development. I guess as an aside, I'll just say that this isn't the first time that somebody's tried to compete with Google, but it's the first time in a long time that I feel like a new player has enough money and technology behind it to actually maybe make a serious run at it.
It feels like the first time that someone's tried to compete with Google with a different model. I feel like we've had the Yahoos and the Bings of the world come into play and just try to do what Google does, but do it better or do it bigger or do it broader. And this just feels like OpenAI is saying, we don't believe, Google, that you know the future of search. We believe we do. We believe this is the future of search. It's a different model, and we're going to compete to steal what people use Google for and have them use SearchGPT for it instead.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to take that different approach, and it's just going to be super fascinating. Hopefully I can join the wait list and, get early access or something to kind of better understand how this all operates and how it functions. But at the end of the day, like, AI has to be trained on models. It has to be trained on data. And so they need to get that data from somewhere. And at least at this point, it shows that, hey, it's providing links to the relevant resources. And so hopefully, as it grows, our blogs can be included in those relevant resources, and we're still getting traffic. And so I don't think any of us really care if our traffic is coming from Google or SearchGPT or wherever it's coming from. We just want to make sure we're still getting traffic to our websites.
Yeah, it continues to open up the can of worms that is, copyright violations, antitrust lawsuits, like where government, where large, big tech is going to land when it comes to the ability to do this kind of stuff. I know we all have different opinions on that, and I've heard people as wide ranging from one side of the coin to the other, but this is just another iteration of the way that data and the way that content is being used to kind of circumvent the publisher, perhaps. Perhaps not, though. Perhaps this could increase the amount of clicks over to a website. We just don't know the patterns of people on something brand new.
Right.
There's a lot of reason to be disappointed. There's also a lot of potential to be positively impacted. It's just so hard to say. We don't know. It's a new model.
Yeah. No, exactly. And, this really does tie closely into what we were going to talk about anyways today. I mean, we're going to talk about kind of privacy and data that, individuals provide to search engines. And because this is so relevant to that topic, Google just this week announced that I'm going to move here on to the next topic here, is that Google announced that they are going to scrap their plans to kill the third-party cookie.
Which is crazy. Which is any other week would have been a headliner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this was going to be our big story for sure. Because this is, how long has this been talked about? I feel like it's over 2020.
2020.
Is it that long?
Yeah, it's in one of
Wow.
these. I read a bunch of articles on it this week, and it's in one of those. So yeah, 2020. And they kept kicking the can down the road. It was getting kicked to 2025.
Right. Google, and to catch those people up, the 10-second version is that Google has basically been saying, hey, we're going to no longer allow third-party cookies, which advertisers use to kind of track some information on users so they can better target users and that sort of thing, and better ads can be served to individuals. Google's not going to kill those third-party cookies anymore. And they've been talking about that since 2020, that, hey, it's coming. A lot of people, ad platforms, Mediavine in particular, that we can talk about, they've been making major adjustments to their platforms in preparation for this, so that RPMs and ad payouts can be just as high as they have always been. Because as soon as you're not able to understand the potential user on your website, as soon as advertisers can no longer understand that, they're not willing to pay as high a price, right? If they happen to be targeting, middle-aged men like Jared and I that are interested in technology, for example, they might pay a premium for that if they know we're on their website. But if instead they just know 2 people are on your website, but we don't know anything about them, they're not going to pay quite as much money, right? And that's what the third-party cookie essentially would have gotten rid of. But Google, it all comes down to dollars and cents at the end of the day. Like, as much as Google wants to say, hey, we value privacy and there's this big push for privacy, it sounds like when push comes to shove that maybe Google's advertisers wouldn't have to pay as much money. And so maybe Google is going to make more money by not killing the third-party cookie. That would be my hunch.
I don't understand this, and I understand it because, as you said, third-party data means that advertisers will pay more and will spend more money, which means Google makes more money. And given that their not entire, but a significant portion of their revenue comes from their ad platform, it's massively important to Google. But why were they going to make the switch in the first place if it was ever an option not to? Because like you said, not anyone has come out and said that advertisers will spend more money without third-party cookies. It's all been gloom and doom, and all the rhetoric has been how much gloom and doom is there? How big of a drop-off will it be? To your point, Mediavine, we're going to go to great lengths to make the drop-off not as bad. All this hullabaloo about it, and I'm just so curious, like, if it could have been avoided in the first place, you can't imagine a situation where Google wouldn't have taken that.
Well, this is going back to 2020, but I have to think, and if memory serves correct, like, it's really been a PR move, right? Like, I don't know if that was the timing of, Google antitrust lawsuit and other things.
Apple was making a big PR movement around this. That probably was around that time, right? So, okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It really is a PR thing. DuckDuckGo has been skyrocketing a number of users, and like you said, Apple made this big move. There's been this big push publicly and even by governments to remove all this personal information, all this tracking information. And so it feels like, okay, Google made these big announcements 4 years ago to probably just be a PR move. Maybe at the time they said, oh yes, we're going to definitely do it, and they really believed it, but now they're not. They're doing it about face. When push comes to shove, maybe the money is more important than the PR at this point. So that's my quick take on it.
Well, we'll get to it, but no doubt, generally speaking, if you take a bit of a step back, which, hold on, folks, we're going to be talking about Google stock price and how it relates to all of this. But if you take a step back and just look at the last, say, 10-year trend, I mean, they certainly don't need to be doing PR moves like this to help their stock price, because it's been doing nothing but going up and to the right.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly right.
I'm curious how this will play out. I'm certainly curious about how it plays out in countries that are more focused on this type of stuff. Europe, We've seen they're constantly in the news over there for stuff like that. I'm just so fascinated to see how this all plays out. But you're right. It's just a dollar's decision at the end of the day. I'm going to imagine someone weighed the complicated math out and said that the amount that we stand to gain from the ad revenue of third-party cookies outweighs the litigious bills we'll get for keeping them. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, maybe so.
I can only speculate, but.
So, yep, we're all seeing it play out live.
We haven't talked about it, but as publishers, this is a win. No doubt. There's no way around it. It's a win for publishers.
100%.
I mean, the RPMs will stay where they're at. Google did say, by the way, we didn't address it, they are going to be working on, maybe I should quote it here. This move suggests Google is trying to balance privacy concerns with the needs of the ad industry and its own business model. That's a quote from Search Engine Land. What they're saying, this is Anthony Chavez, VP of Privacy Sandbox, wrote, "We developed the Privacy Sandbox with the goal of finding innovative solutions that meaningfully improve online privacy while preserving the ad-supported internet." And so they're going to continue to develop that. I think that's maybe the point I should have just gotten to. I thought that quote was a little more impactful than it actually turned out to be. So this isn't the end of it, but as it stands, the way third-party cookies are designed, publishers are going to make more money on their RPMs this way.
Yeah, and I love that point that you make. We should try to always bring out the positive here is that, hey, it's kind of business as usual in terms of ads on your website. And so if your site is monetized with ads, this is a great announcement. This is like, okay, relief. We don't have to worry about what might happen in 2025. We appear to be good to go for the next, for the foreseeable future. And so that's good news. That's good news. So.
Well, that's not the end of Google in the news. That's not the end of our discussions around Google. And that's not the end of that stock price conversation, is it?
It is not the end. In fact, let's go ahead and jump into it. As briefly alluded to here, that just earlier this week, Google announced their Q2 earnings. And so anytime that happens, the CEO of Google hops on a call, they announce their financials, and they share a lot of results. And so we have a couple of sort of news stories to cover related to that. But basically, the headline here that Google announced their earnings, their revenue grew by 14% in Q2.
Good grief.
For a huge, the company, is massive. So a 14% growth rate is tremendous. And Google search revenue is up. The Google search revenue is up 14%. Their total earnings, I actually don't know what the growth is on that, but their search revenue is up 14% year over year. Their Google Cloud Computing exceeded $10 billion in quarterly revenue for the first time.
That's just finally broke Niche Pursuit's quarterly revenue.
Yeah, right. Get rid of 9 of those
5 zeros. 9 zeros.
I don't know. Whatever. It's just unfathomable how much $1 billion is. And that's just one business unit of theirs, of course. And they talk a lot of the use of AI, their innovations, AI search, AI overviews. That's talked about a lot that we'll get into. But maybe just to bring your point home about the stock price, what was interesting is that even though they beat estimates on search and cloud computing, they actually missed their projections on YouTube ad revenue. And because of that, the stock price actually took a hit. And I've got their stock price pulled up here. You can kind of see this dip here. When the announcement happened here, it's down 6% over the last 5 days. And so even though they're making a ton of money, Wall Street isn't 100% happy with them. They're a little bit disappointed because they missed one of their estimates on YouTube ad revenue. It wasn't as high as Wall Street expected and hoped for. So their stock price is actually down. Does that present a buying opportunity? I don't know. We'll leave that up to listeners to decide.
I'll take you through 30 seconds on the conversation that Spencer and I were having prior to hitting record. We usually quickly go over the agenda. We were looking over this report that you have on the screen in front of you. And my initial thought, as Spencer and I were talking about it, was, well, the stock price clearly must have done well. I mean, look at this, 14% up, all this kind of stuff. We pulled it up. We're like, oh my gosh, the stock price went down. And it was like, it dropped 6% since Monday or Tuesday because they missed these earnings, which underscores how weird this world is, where you can be up 14%, but still not perform well as a stock price because of you missed earnings. And then it said, and it's continuing to drop after hours or on Thursday because of search GPTs. And we're like, wait, what? That's how we actually found the search GPT story. So it's such an interesting, it all just ties back together, but it's very fascinating that Google can, and again, going all the way back to what do we talk about almost every single week, like it is such a bizarre world for those of us who live so deeply entrenched in Google's search ecosystem to just watch blunder after blunder, to watch a search engine that pretty much by and large is agreed upon is in, one of the worst places in terms of usability and user satisfaction and stuff in quite a long time. And then see them absolutely skyrocketing in earnings and seeing their CEO tout how amazing everything is. And I'm not saying one or the other isn't accurate. It's just so fascinating to see what corporate America thinks, what the CEO thinks versus what all the users think and what everybody else is projecting as it relates to the search engine experience.
Right. And so does that even provide more evidence that, hey, there is wiggle room here for SearchGPT to come in and take some market share, right? As individual users, boots on the ground, as you say, like we're a little bit dissatisfied with how Google is operating. Does that provide, an open space there for a competitor? And so that's kind of playing out here, maybe in the stock price a little bit, right? That it continues to maybe drop based on this news. So when people are listening to this podcast, when it goes live, which will be tomorrow, for us, we can look at the stock price even further. And, as a stock analyst, we can go, hey, is it time to buy up some shares of Google? Or is it really time to say, you know what, maybe there's going to be another player here and maybe it's time to sell off some of those shares. That's not really where we usually take our show here. So we'll maybe in the stock buying or selling discussion there, because we are not financial analysts
What is it?
by
Past
any
performance
means
does not indicate
of the future gains, right?
Yeah,
Like but we will get to.
I will put one thing. Let me put one thing in perspective to kind of switch that. You said specifically that the stock price was dropping because of missed earnings around YouTube ad revenue. And so it's interesting to hear them talk about the different segments of Google's business, but also to put it in perspective, right? Google's cloud, for example, they highlighted surpassed 10 billion in quarterly revenue. And I was like, that's ridiculous. It's amazing. But then I went and looked it up. Amazon AWS, by the way, is at over 25 billion per quarter in revenue. Which is a very similar type of service that they provide. So these numbers are shocking, but it also puts in perspective that there's plenty of runway left for Google or a SearchGPT to come in and take some market share. There's plenty of runway there. And like you said, especially if they're not putting out the best thing since sliced bread, that could give publishers hope that so much is coming to change. Competition is good. SearchGPT coming out, obviously seeing lots of runway here, seeing lots of growth, seeing people very interested from an investment standpoint. There's a lot of interesting threads to pull on this one.
Yeah, and there is. And maybe one other thought that I'll just add here that always is super fascinating to me is because, of course, we're here at Niche Pursuits. I always love to find very small niche products or ideas that I can build. And so when you see a massive company that's doing billions of dollars, if you can find an idea that takes one little sliver of what a Google does or some other large company does, a very, very niche, little idea, and do it better or differently, or market it to, a different crowd. I mean, what's $1 million, right? Come on, you can do $1 million a year, no problem.
I was going to say, with a market pool that size, all you need is a grain of sand.
Just a grain of sand. But that is one way to find, that's how entrepreneurs have been doing it for years and years and years, right?
Then
take the gorilla that's not doing so well anymore, and you
will love my weird niche then.
Good. I usually do. So let's maybe finish up this discussion just to maybe read this brief quote. Glenn Gabe here on Twitter provided a nice quote for us, so it makes it really easy. This is a quote from the quarterly earnings call. Sundar Pichai talked about AI overviews specifically. And so, of course, he's very positive as always, but he says, we're pleased to see the positive trends from our testing as we roll out AI overviews, including increases in search usage and increased user satisfaction with the results. People who are looking for help with complex topics are engaging more and keep coming back for AI overviews.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's, of course, a lot to kind of unpack there. And we've talked about a lot in terms of AI overviews. Used to be in like 84% of queries, and then it dropped to 15%. And so there's been a lot of sort of pullback. And so, yeah, even though Google says more, we see positive trends in our testing, well, it's because, and a lot of the queries you're pulling it back is probably part of that reason. And then the other part is, give them the benefit of the doubt. They are getting better, probably, in improving their technology.
One line
and
to
then
pull
the
out
last.
as
Go
sorry,
ahead.
am I going to steal your thunder here?
No, please do.
One line to point out about that, because I think it's interesting. We talk about ads as it relates to AI overviews for a while and just surmising about it. One line out of this article: AI overviews contribute to better user experience and open new advertising opportunities. Not sure about the better user experience, but apparently their data says it does. But open new advertising opportunities is the second half of that statement. Google will start testing search and shopping ads within AI overviews, labeled as sponsored. Interesting. We've talked about how they're going to pull that off. Relevant to the query and information in the overview.
Very interesting.
So that was revealed in this call there. And so we know now that ads are coming. They're coming in the AI overview box. They will be relevant and they will be labeled. If you're not watching on YouTube, I have a very suggestive face of, okay, I can't wait to see this come out.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see what it looks like. So Google's continuing to talk about AI overviews, and they're going to probably start talking about it even more if that's possible now that SearchGPT is coming out. You're going to probably see this sort of head-to-head of like, hey, our AI overviews are all you need. Keep using Google. Don't worry about this SearchGPT thing that's happening over there. So, oh, man. Did we get through all the news stories?
No, but I think we're going to have to stop there. We got through all the important ones.
I think we did. Let's leave it there.
That was good. That was literally on the fly.
That was pretty much on
Hopefully,
the fly.
People are understanding if we bounced around a little bit.
Yeah, but genuine reactions from us because we're just learning about this stuff too. Literally just happened a couple hours ago, SearchGPT.
Hey everyone, Spencer here, founder of Niche Pursuits. So you probably know the importance of building internal links so your site can perform well in Google. Today I want to share how Link Whisper can help you add outbound internal links to your articles. As you draft your article in WordPress, Link Whisper scans your site, identifying the best internal link opportunities. It then recommends the perfect anchor text and link to add. With just a click, your content is updated with new internal links. No more expensive tools or tedious manual site searches. Link Whisper does the heavy lifting right inside the WordPress editor. Say goodbye to the hassle of internal linking. With Link Whisper, you can focus on what you do best, creating great content. Use the coupon code PODCAST today and get $15 off. Elevate your website's internal linking with Link Whisper now. Building smart internal links just got easier. Go to linkwhisper.com today and be sure to use coupon code PODCAST to get $15 off.
Let's go ahead and move on to our shiny object shenanigans. And I will be happy to go first. I'm going to just give a quick overview of my Facebook page that got accepted to the bonus program less than 2 months ago at this point, just a little less than 2 months ago, and kind of provide an update on how that's going. Things continue to go really well, and I'm excited about it. In the very first month, as I shared here, the earnings were just shy of $3,000 from the Facebook bonus program itself, which is way beyond what I expected that it would do. I thought maybe it'd do a few $100s. So to do like a few $1,000s, super happy with. And this month looks like it's on track to do even more than that.
All right.
And so I don't have it pulled up right here, but the earnings are roughly $2,500 right now. And it doesn't, the month doesn't sync up with the calendar month. Like it's the day you got accepted to the Facebook bonus program, so mine will go through the 4th of next month. So I've got about 10 days left in this particular month on the Facebook bonus program. So that'll give you an idea. I'm hoping to clock in the month that
3750. Maybe if you get an extra little bump, maybe you'll hit 4,000.
Exactly. That's what I'm hoping for, is like, hey, can we crank up to $4,000 for the month? I think we could get close. We should be in that $3,500 to $4,000 range for the month. We continue to just post 15 times a day. And just within the last 2 weeks, I've become less concerned with trying to send traffic to my own website. In the past, we would do like 3 posts a day that would be links to the website so that we can get traffic to the website, make money from ads. But now, honestly, the Facebook bonus program is making more money than my website is making.
Oh, yeah.
And so I sort of said, hey, let's even scale back posting links to our website. So now we're at like maybe 1 time a day posting a link to our website, and 14 times a day is just Facebook posts. We're just trying to get engagement. And that appears to be working well. We're keeping people on Facebook. I think that's what they want. The audience is engaged. And I'm just pleasantly surprised here in the second full month of the Facebook bonus program. It's going really, really well. And it's a shiny object right now for sure. I'm kind of enjoying it.
To make $3,000 off of traffic to your website, if we just kind of use ballpark RPMs, you'd have to drive 100,000 to 150,000 page views.
Yes.
And that's a lot of page views from Facebook. And I think what I'm trying to say is, I think the bonus program, you're exactly right. It sounds like the RPM, if we can use that analogy, is much higher when you have comparative metrics of the time and effort you put in and the return that you get.
Right. Yeah. It's I agree. I mean, it really is hard to drive traffic from somebody else's platform to your website, and you can do it. I've had some months where I've gotten 50 or 60,000 visitors to my website, but even that, right, was half or less.
Yeah.
I mean, it was less than half, for sure. I happen to be in a low paying niche. I'm just in a very kind of obscure niche that I'm in. But the amount of engagement that I'm getting on my Facebook page is huge, right? Millions and millions and millions of views every month on the content that we're posting. And it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of fun to log in, check my stats, and see that people are really engaging with it.
Well, I'm very excited to continue to hear about this. And for those of you listening, we have an upcoming interview all about the Facebook bonus program.
We do indeed. I believe that's coming out next week.
Oh, is it next week?
It is next week.
Well, there we go.
Good time to tease it.
Wow.
Perfect time to tease it. Yep, coming out next Wednesday.
For folks that wonder, I just record them and they go into the abyss of niche pursuits, and I'm as surprised as you are when they come out.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Oftentimes you record a couple months in advance. You're like, oh, yeah, I did record that interview.
Not that I forget about them, but just, you kind of get into a different flow. So that's great. That's a good one. So
yep.
People should, if you like these updates from Spencer, definitely tune in next Wednesday.
Yep, absolutely. So there you go. That's my quick update. It's going really well.
Man, that's inspiring. Mine is going to be about something new, Spencer. It's not really a new side hustle. Okay. It's really, speaking of niching down, it's like a side hustle inside of my side hustle.
Okay.
I'm trying to, and it's going to be very high level and just open-ended because I literally just did it yesterday. Have you ever heard of creator connections inside the Amazon influencer program?
I belive that I have.
Yeah, ring a bell.
Yeah,
I've heard of it. I've had a number of people tell me I should be doing it, and I've had a number of people tell me that I should be doing a lot of things with my Amazon influencer videos that I make. I believe I've had someone like you tell me I need to be posting on YouTube, and you're probably right. I've had people tell me, Jared, are you doing creator connections? Why aren't you? So anyways, I haven't given it a ton of mind, but I got an email this week. I just pulled up the email because I want to make sure to accurately quote from David. And he was like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, give him the same answer. Like, I don't have time. And he's like, no. And we had an email exchange about the creator connections. And so what it is, basically, to put it in a high level nutshell, and I'm just learning about it, so many listeners will probably understand it way better than me and would be able to describe it better. But for the general layman like myself, creator connections is really the brand creating influencer opportunities and incentivizing those opportunities with additional bonuses in the form of higher commissions. And so let's say that I were to make an Amazon influencer video about this mug, and the standard commission on that for on-site payout would be, 2%, maybe 4%, something in that range. Well, the brand that makes this mug might say, hey, influencers, we want you to promote it and actually incentivize you to make videos and all that kind of stuff. And so we're going to be offering 10% or 15% or 20% on this said mug. And you have to get invited to Creator Connections. I don't know much about who gets invited and not, but I happen to have been invited apparently. And so I have access to it. So I went in there, and this was fascinating. This is what Dave was telling me. He's like, Jared, you probably already have a bunch of opportunities that make a ton of sense. And lo and behold, he was right. I own 10 or 11 products that brands inside of Creator Connections had opportunities for. So I basically yesterday, I took advantage of it. I won't go into all the details about how to do that, but basically you just have to kind of line all the things up with the product that you own and the videos you made and that sort of thing, and submitted for them. And now those products, when purchased, will make me a significantly higher percentage on the commissions.
Can I clarify that? So did you say you already had videos on those products, or you created new videos?
So I already had videos on those products.
Really?
I read through what some brands are really detailed in what they want, and some are not. And the ones that weren't, I was able to just use the videos I already had. A few of them, they had different criteria. I think I could have used the same video because I think it's just recommendations, but I didn't know. So I just, these are quick for me. So I made a couple of new videos yesterday that followed more of what the brand wanted for a couple of these. I think I only did a couple though. So most of them, my video already fit what the brand was looking for.
It's like free money right there.
It's like free money right there.
That's super fascinating. I had heard of brand connections, and I did get approved because I know I had logged in at one point and looked at all of this. And apparently, like you, I just didn't do anything with that information.
So David says it's adding an extra 10% or so to his earnings. So it's not life-changing, but he's also, from what it sounds like, taking a similar approach where he's just kind of going after the low-hanging fruit, I have a lot more to learn. I kind of plan on learning about it. It's one of those things where it took me an hour or two to kind of figure out how to operate in it. And then once I figured it out, it was really quick and easy. But, it took me an hour or two to kind of figure it out. So I want to look into it more, make sure that I kind of understand it fully, see if there's other opportunities inside of Creator Connections to take advantage of. But, you're already doing the content, you're already making the videos, and it's just one more opportunity for people to look into inside of this really amazing Amazon influencer program.
Yeah, I mean, double or triple your commissions on certain products, it does seem like a no-brainer. And, here I am scolding myself for not doing it. Sometimes there is low-hanging opportunities. It kind of is ode to the good old days of Amazon Associates, where you could earn commissions of 8.5% or whatever it was, if you get to the top tier, that here is the opportunity on some of those products. It sounds like, hey, here you can make 10% commissions if you make a video on our product.
Higher. Like some of them are upwards of 20%. Wow. And of course you get into conversion rates, and you get into all that stuff, right? And which videos are actually performing well. And I'm sure there's the devil's in the details, of course, but it's just, it's like you mentioned, it's very interesting to see how Amazon is incentivizing people themselves. And I would say that the influencer program that we talk about with shoppable videos is really incentivized by Amazon. I don't actually know who pays those commissions for influencer. Did they pass it on to the brand or not? I'm not even really sure. But I'm looking here, and there's commissions of 10%, 15%, 18%. Here's a 33% one.
Wow.
That's being offered. So There's some really high. Can you imagine making 33% every single time you sell something on Amazon?
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah, I'm in here right now.
Do you know if that only applies to influencer videos or shoppable videos, or if you're, an Amazon associate, can you still put a link on your website and get that higher commission?
Yeah, so they give you an Amazon Associates link.
They do.
So because I think they want you publishing it on your social accounts,
they don't care
and
where
also
it's
driving.
at.
They want you driving traffic to this promotion any way you can. Yeah, I mean, again, early days for me. So if you're listening, you're like, Jared, I know I want to preface like Jared just figured this out 24 hours ago. So
Yeah,
but yeah, that's my understanding.
I'm learning here too. So
that's what we do here, right? That's what we do.
That's
cool.
We
just talk about side hustle stuff. Sometimes we're really knowledgeable about it. Sometimes we're really just experimenting.
Every once in a while, we land on something that's interesting, though, right?
Yeah,
it takes a year, but after a year, we hit on one or two good ideas.
So thank you, David. Good thought. People have told me in the past, by the way, but he just kind of wouldn't give up on it. I'm looking here. I got 18 emails back and forth with him over the last week or so. So he just got into my inbox.
Well, good.
Did a good
Kudos
job there.
To him for driving it home for you.
So anyways, We'll see. I'll keep people posted. Maybe this will be a big dud.
Please do.
But it's a couple hours, and it was content that I already knew, and for the most part, in many ways, had already made. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I like it. Yeah, I would be really curious to find out. Maybe it'll get me to get into gear and do some of that on my own.
The Amazon Influencer Program. Hopefully, the gift that just keeps on giving.
Hopefully, yeah. Very good. Well, it's that time, Jared. It's time to move on to our weird niche sites. And I feel like I should go first because I don't know what your website is, but I did read the domain, and I'm pretty sure you're going to blow mine out of the water here. So I'm happy to go first. So I read you can bring domain. It home strong.
We have two types of sites we end up doing in the weird niche. Weird ways you make money, but not weird topics, and then just weird topics. Yours is the former, mine's the latter here. So
right.
Mine will be funnier.
That's a good...
I'm sure yours is more profitable.
It could be. I just in my day-to-day, running a business online, I run across websites every once in a while that are like kind of just obscure and just very, very niche, very small, very unique ideas. And so that fits into my category of weird here. Although, again, when I share this, it's not going to blow people's minds, but, people that are publishing on YouTube and using YouTube, there's so many tools that can help you optimize your YouTube videos, do keyword research, optimize your thumbnails, etc. This one that I'm going to share is testmythumbnails.com. And we'll talk about the entire website, what it does, but clearly the main feature, you can see above the fold here, it allows you to upload a sample of a thumbnail. And so I'm going to do that here live. I just uploaded the last podcast interview that we did, but basically it allows you to view what your thumbnail will look like alongside a bunch of other thumbnails on YouTube, to give you an idea of like, okay, does my thumbnail actually stand out? Does this look good? Is this just like a total dud? Because, mine's up in the top left corner, and all these others are from really big YouTubers, most of them. And those are the types of thumbnails that kind of do well. And so when I look at it, it might give me an idea of like, oh, I might want to tweak this or use different colors or use different font or something like that. But it also allows you to kind of preview your title. So if I type in a title over here, I forgot what this one was called, something like...
let's see. I make 6 figures selling shirts online to thin men.
Yeah, well, I didn't type that in, but
it's okay. I'm just reading it.
Yeah. But, you can type in your title and see what that might look like. So I've used this, again, just to kind of, because I'll often get a couple of samples of a thumbnail back from my designer, and I can't really decide. But when I pop it into a tool like this, I'll go like, oh, you know what? This one is like way better. based on what I'm seeing on YouTube, right? Because it's all about the click. You want to have something that stands out a little bit when somebody comes to the YouTube homepage and sees your video. Now, the website overall, it does a whole lot more, right? You can go pro, which offers some premium features for either $12 or $22 a month, right? Where you can test unlimited thumbnail ideas, and you can A/B test thumbnails. Now that's actually pretty cool.
Right.
I use a different service to do this, but I do believe in actually live testing your thumbnails. It basically will allow you to show your thumbnail for an hour and then rotate in another one an hour later. And after 24 hours or a week or however long you want to test, it'll say, hey, this is the clear winner. It's a higher click-through rate. So that's a premium feature, and there's a few other premium features that it does have. But I like that it's got this free a tool, right, to preview your thumbnail live on YouTube. I pulled up some of the stats so that we can at least see that. You can see that according to Ahrefs, right, it just started getting traffic kind of at the end of last year. And now it's getting about 12,000 organic visitors a month. And according to SimilarWeb, testmythumbnails.com got just over 300,000 visitors in the last 3 months. So it's getting, a little over 100,000 visitors a month, which is pretty solid. And we don't know what their conversion rate is, but if it's, 1 or 2%, like they're probably starting to build up a nice customer base and building a nice little business. So anyways, just kind of a fun little niche product idea, niche website idea that I actually use.
Yeah, they have something really cool at the bottom there. I didn't have time to really play around with it, but I've always wondered about that. It's in their footer. It says YouTube Revenue Calculator. And again, like just trying to kind of play around with it here, but you can basically plug in your, I guess, a YouTube URL, and it will somehow calculate your RPM. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a tool out there that does that. You should plug something in, but that's interesting.
That is interesting. So if I pop in a URL here, try to do it on the fly. I got a Mr. Beast video here.
Here we go.
Did that. I had this search. Oh, it did pull it in.
It did.
So, it's got the number of views, whatever that is.
Good grief. Is that making $750,000 every day is what it's saying?
Daily net is
9.3.
Wow, almost $1 million a day?
Are you serious?
That can't be right.
That can't be right. I mean, I know he makes a ton of money.
That's with an RPM of 10?
Yeah.
That's probably a little high.
That is. I usually see 5 to 7.
Even a 5?
Yeah.
That's, wow.
That's $500,000 a day?
Wow.
Do you think he... Well, I mean, I guess it's just math.
It's just math. What are we doing here, Jared?
I was going to say, my gosh. I knew you made a lot of money, but I never thought about it in that perspective.
That's just one video.
That's just one video. That's just one day.
That's just one day. It could be a little high. I'm not sure.
A little? I mean, even if it's a lot high.
He's doing pretty well. So anyways, I can see us quickly getting sidetracked. Mr. Beast is making a lot of money.
Don't put one of my videos in there. That's why
right.
Really bad.
You'd be lucky if there's $1,
Yeah, exactly.
Per day on my video.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, sorry. I did kind of derail the original intent of the website.
But it does have some cool free tools, which I'm a big fan of. If you can build like a free tool, a niche tool that can bring in a lot of free traffic and get you customers or get you ad revenue, whatever you're looking for.
So I have to admit, the first 90 seconds or so, I was about to bust you because I'm constantly worried I'm going to do this. And a couple weeks or a couple months ago now, probably, you did talk about a different YouTube weird niche.
I did.
It was ones that allow you to kind of see what the thumbnail of a YouTube URL is. And I thought in your vacation haze, you were making the first time we would have ever made this mistake on the podcast, but you and I are always worried about is, are we going to accidentally repeat a weird niche site that we did? But then I realized it was different. So
I did okay, but that day will come most likely.
It's going to happen to one of us.
So be ready for it.
I'd like to think I keep a repository of this, but we're like 75 news episodes in and I didn't. So
yeah. So,
all right.
Good job. What do you got?
My weird niche, like I said, is more down the funny route. I believe this was shared with me. You know who's become my gold mine of weird niches while we're on it? I get like 2 a week from Tony Hill now.
Is that right?
Yeah. So this is another one I'm looking
source.
At. Yeah, that's my secret source. So I don't know where he finds all these, but he shared this one with me. It's been around a while. Giftwrapmyface.com. Again, talk about an exact match.
My face.
Yep, that's what it does. It takes your face or your kid's face or your wife's face or whatever you want, and you can make not just gift wrap anymore. You can make socks and gift tags and all sorts of stuff out of this.
I like it.
Yeah. So it's an e-com play, as you can imagine. In terms of how it's doing, well, it's a DR27, and I got logged out of Ahrefs. Doggone it, that's a bummer.
I got it.
But not much traffic. I can tell you that much. It's not much traffic. So yeah, it ranks for 716 keywords, just over 1,000 organic visits per month. Not exactly killing it in the organic search. And here's what's interesting about it. I thought, niche type idea, really weird idea, like not getting much traffic. Well, it should be doing a lot better. It's been mentioned in the likes of Bustle, ABC News, Bloomberg, and it was even featured on Oprah.
Wow.
Yeah, this was featured on
huge.
Oprah. So, it's not like they don't have a good amount of press happening. So you just feel like they should be doing so much better in search. I gave you the link there. If you go to their story, you can kind of look at their backstory. Basically, just over 10 years ago, they kind of outline a boy named Ariel found himself scrambling at the last minute to buy something thoughtful for his girlfriend's birthday, came up with this, figured it out, put it together. When his girlfriend received the gift, her reaction couldn't have been better. She thought it was hilarious, and found it to be the best gift she'd ever received. They ended up getting married. So basically, if you get your girlfriend this, you'll get married to her. That's what they're trying to tell you.
That's right.
But
works every time.
It's been featured all over the place. Some months later, Oprah chose Gift Wrap My Face as a featured product on her exclusive O list. It was acquired in 2021, Spencer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was acquired by a rather large brand, buildahead.com.
Is that like bobbleheads?
Yeah, basically. And this Build Ahead has gone and kind of acquired a bunch. They've acquired Build Ahead is their original product, but cardboard cutouts, Paw Prints HQ, Sticker My Face. Like they've gone out and acquired all these weird brands, and they're now a part of this larger brand family. So you feel like maybe they're doing some decent sales off organic search traffic, instead of from other channels, because they're kind of a part of this larger brand.
Right. That's exactly what I would think here. And I was going to try and pull up SimilarWeb if I could. I don't know. I'll share it since, but it doesn't show that it's getting very much traffic.
Maybe not.
But it could be wrong. I mean, it shows less than 5,000 visitors in the last 3 months.
I mean, maybe it's one of those interesting things. Like when you take a snapshot back, you take a step back and look at a snapshot. Like here is someone who took a very weird idea, built an e-com store out of it, and then went on to sell it 7 years later and get acquired.
Right.
Man, we ought to get this person on the podcast. I mean, what a cool story.
Yeah, it's an awesome story. I love ideas like this that are just super unique, kind of funny, kind of quirky, but you can actually build a business out of it, get mentioned by Oprah, right? Like that's just once in a lifetime opportunity. So yeah, talk about weird. I think you nailed it. Like I said, yours is definitely on the weird side of things compared to what I shared. So props to Tony for finding this, and
I know, right?
you know.
Hey, I'm not done, Spencer.
Okay.
We need to check back on the weirdest niche site ever. It's been 1 month.
I know what you're talking about.
It's in our agenda. All you got to do is boot up that link there. We are talking about 1millioncheckboxes.com. If you missed this episode, it was 1 month ago. It was the end of June that we aired this, and I boldly claimed that this is the weirdest niche site ever, and Spencer was skeptical, but ended up agreeing. And the goal of this website was to get 1 million check boxes, and it's done. We checked every box.
But you can still play alone if you'd like.
Yes.
So I can't do anything? Like on the main website?
No, you can't.
I wonder why they would have done that.
Although, Spencer, it looks like you were playing in your spare time. It shows up there. You've checked 86 boxes. Were you?
Well, I think I did that all on the podcast, honestly. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I ever came back to this. I think I checked 86 boxes. Somebody watch that and fact check me on that. I can play alone.
Yeah, I think you clicked on and it gave you like a new version of it, basically. And so now you can play by yourself. Alone.
See, look, I'm already up to here. I'll get to 100 and call it good. So now I'm at 100 check boxes.
How'd you get to 100? Because I only see like 10.
No, I just checked 14 boxes.
Okay,
I had 86. 14.
Oh, you had 86. Good point.
Okay, yeah, it added.
Okay,
come on,
no,
Jared.
you're right.
Aren't you a math major or something?
I'm just not very intuitive at this time of the day.
No, it's fascinating. Too many questions to ask about this.
I don't have the guy's Twitter handle up in front of us. I do remember that we were complaining about how he only had like 3,000 followers. He's jumped to like 10 to 15,000 followers. So
there you go.
I'm not sure where he went with it. I'm not sure what came of it, but the weird niche project that this is complete, and the social experiment, I suppose, is done.
Yeah, and I don't know if he made any money from it. I know you could donate to him. Maybe you got some donations, but maybe it'll spur a new idea. And now he's got a larger fan base, so his next idea will just be even bigger. So
there you have it.
Well, very good. We've covered the news. We've covered our side projects, the weird niches. Thank you, everyone, so much for sticking around, following along, and listening in to This Week in Niche Pursuits News. And Jared, thank you, of course, for helping out here. Really appreciate it.
We'll see you again, same place, same time next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey there, thanks so much for listening to the Niche Pursuits podcast. Did you know that Jared and I are members of a private group called the Niche Pursuits Community? And today I want to share with you how you can join for just $1. The Niche Pursuits Community is a private members area for niche online publishers to mastermind and grow their businesses together. We hold weekly calls live with experts where you can ask questions. These experts share tips on Amazon Influencer, Google Discover, building email newsletters, getting traffic from Facebook, and other strategies to grow your online business. You'll also be assigned a mastermind group of 4 or 5 other people in a similar stage in business as you. Dive deep into your business issues and get your problems solved. If you use coupon code PODCAST at checkout, you'll get your first month for just $1. Go ahead and give it a try. Come join me, Jared, and lots of other digital entrepreneurs inside my private group at community.nichepursuits.com. And be sure to use coupon code PODCAST. I'll see you on the inside.